Moving on to Jello. As you've heard, I think twice now, Norwalk dies. But because Norwalk dies, time fixes itself. So the future Jello is sent to the Never Dimension because that timeline, it never happened. Like, at all. Yep. So, other Jello's still in a coma. So, Jello just kind of goes back to being in his coma. Doesn't really know about Norwalk, although all the evil that had been, like, infesting his mind, it's gone. Just, second Norwalk dies. Gone. So, he's just kind of confused. Finds Sir X. They start talking. He gets ready to start practicing with magic. Sir X just kind of laughs at him and goes, "You failed. Poison is better." Joe's like, "I don't know poison." "Well, I'll teach you." So Joe learns basic poison, although he's more like an intermediate, but whatever. So as he's practicing, Gallon does his immersion, gets to Jello, pulls Jello out of the coma. After the whole Gallon dying and Zukami being crazy fiasco, he goes ahead and goes to the desert to train after talking with Eclipses. Like he hung out with Eclipses for a bit, and she gave him a guardian, like an ancestral guardian. Like basically, like and Tsukami doesn't even have one. Like she gives them to nobody, but she feels kind of guilty about Sir X, and Joe apparently does kind of resemble him. So for some reason or another, she gives him a guardian that will basically protect his family, like his kids, his kids' kids, so on and so forth. It will always be there to protect him. It's kind of rather small, but meh, it gets bigger. So he goes to the desert to train. He told me he's jealous of the Guardian because the Guardian basically looks like a demon. It's kind of like a little skeleton dragon with some like skin here and there, like for the wings so it can fly. There's skin between the spines or whatever. But he told me he gets jealous. So, and this thing like resides in a tattoo on his back. Like it could come out of a tattoo, go into the tattoo, out in, out in. So it goes into the tattoo, and he told me, grabs Jello, hits a pressure point so Jello can't move, and then starts to try to claw off the tattoo because he told me he's just really jealous. Well, Levi, I think that's how he wants it pronounced. That's the name of his guardian. Doesn't really like the fact that his home just got attacked. So basically busts out of the tattoo and it's something like 4 times bigger. Like something goes from being like the size of a small bird to being the size of like a cow, like a cow or a horse. Just all of a sudden, bam, out of nowhere. Just only dragon. So he told me and Levi start fighting. And that's when Sam, the magic eye of Sam that you thought was going to be in Nintendo's story, yeah, not going to be a Nintendo story. I lied about that. Jello seems just overly persistent to pursue Sam. She basically walks in after Jello paralyzes the two to try to get them to stop fighting. So, um, she basically uses Levi like a chair, which makes Levi really uncomfortable. Maybe it's Letty. Nah, Levi. But anyway, Jello talks to her a little, tries to impress her. It's just not really that interesting. They go to he somehow gets her to dinner. I think it was like her bird was hungry. Like Sand's like there the whole time, just like in bird form. And that's actually one of the things about Sand. Sand is technically inside Sam, but it'll make like she'll make like a bird out of sand, and Sand's personality will just temporarily animate it. Um, but it just looks like a normal bird, only it has just one eye on the center of its head. Yep. So bird disappears. They eat a little. Then Joel comes and goes, "Yeah, you're needed for Inazukami's party." Like right after she leaves, he's just like, "Yeah, come on, you're going to the party whether you want to or not." And technically, the party is supposed to be a thing that everyone can go to eat, like without disrupting their stories. Yeah, Jello and Izukami, their stories are the wedding. Well, story party, whatever. Last but not least of just the character stories is Thunder. Last time you saw him, he was wondering why the Arios knew about Altera. Well, he finds a letter, and it's from his mom, and it says like, this is your. It turns out you're not from here. You're from a planet called Roteos. Um, blah blah blah. I'm pregnant with either you or one of you or your older sibling. That's technically Kyo, but whatever. Um, reason we left was there's only like two plants here, and we just feel like there would be more medicines on a different planet. We've used mathematical calculations to find it. Blah blah blah. See the star map. There's a star map with tons of calculations that just like eventually points out here's the probable this planet probably has plant life. Well, obviously trees. Dun dun dun. Trees are like 4 times larger than any plant that's on Roteos. There's only like two. They're like itty bitty shrubs. Um, but it also tells him that the area that the little province region, the region that he's been seeing, he it actually can be claimed by birthright. Strangely enough, so and that letter can validate it. And so he goes back to Roteos, finds the man who's currently in charge, which is Uro, and Uro is just like, fine, I'll step aside because you're an Ario. The Arios have ruled well, but do you know anything about it? Thunder, nope. Well, then can I stay on it as an advisor to help keep things in order until you got the hang of it? So Thunder agrees. They do a little broadcast. Everyone in the region knows. And then it's time for a conference. There's like 8 regions of the planet. Well, I think it was month or so, every leader of the region goes and has a conference with the other leaders just to kind of see what's up, how are you doing, do you need help, that kind of stuff. So he's currently at that conference. Home stretch, guys, home stretch. So, as I mentioned earlier, there was a party. Eclipses party. Here we go. Um, First off, Jewel and Jello are like the first to arrive. Like Jewel brings Jello, and Jewel also avoids in Sam because I don't know. I was bored, and Jello is just so focused on Sam. I'm just like, you know what, this will be fun. But I get drunk. My character gets drunk, goes over to Sam because Sam is the last person who knew about where Opal was. Jewel really hates Opal, and he basically swears at her, and he's basically cock blocking Jello. In Jello's words, like on the chat, he was saying, "Quit cock blocking." Um, Jello actually gets drunk. He gets more drunk than Jewel. He sobers Jewel up, and Jewel's like really angry and focused at that point. Like he's still focused on finding out where Opal is. And so Sam says she doesn't know. Jewel gets even angrier and says, "I don't believe you," kind of thing. Kind of spikes up, and Jewel eventually just gets sick of it and leaves the party to calm down. Jello tries to get Sam to stick around, tries to put on some moves, totally fails. She just kind of pulls away because he's just trying way too hard, and she leaves. He gets even more drunk. I mean, he's just horribly drunk, and other people are showing up at this point, like T-Chow's there. T-Chow's there too. So it's just kind of you're being an embarrassment. So he leaves, and Jewel comes back. He comes back because he'd actually been looking for Jewel. He gets even more drunk, and by this point, Eclipses has come out with the Dominion Stone, and she's used it. She's alive again. Everyone is so thrilled. But Jello is just like totally happy with it just being a drunken haze. And my character's just like, no. He uses poison magic, and he makes a poison that it really isn't a poison per se, but it messes with the water in Jello's body, so it completely disassembles alcohol. Like alcohol just like goes through his system in a heartbeat. Like he doesn't get drunk, can't get drunk at all until he decides to dismantle that poison. And then I also hypercharge him so that way he's already drunk, so he's going to have to go through a hypercharge if his system he's gonna have to go through a hangover if his system suddenly is alcohol or whatever. So I mean, he can go through his entire hangover in 15 seconds. Ha. But anyway, he's just thoroughly unhappy for some reason or another. But he finally sucks it up. For some reason, he summons Hitomi and puts Hitomi into a tux. Feel bad for that demon. But once Eclipses got revived, Inazukami's just like, perfect moment, marry me. And so Eclipses and Inazukami get married. My character Juo, he's a king, so he's just like, I don't know how to do this, but I will marry you too because I can. Because I'm a king and I don't think anyone can really dispute it if a king says so. So they get married. Um, Party's just going on, and well, they would have had another party, but really it's kind of like you partied before the wedding. Do you really have to party after? So no real party afterwards. And Jello's talking to Inazukami, says he'll protect the kingdom while Inazukami's away. Um, and but before Inazukami and Eclipses leave, Niushiro, the gold man from Inazukami's story, the one who totally caved in all of Katsueki and was like, "Oh, sorry, I was just talking to my sister, the little giant heart crystal thing." Yep. Well, he comes back and he walks up and says, "Give me the Dominion Stone because you cannot protect it as well as I can." And basically, that really is just his whole point. He's just like, you know, you can't beat me. I am much more powerful than you. I already avoid society. Just give me the stone because I can keep it away from people who would want to misuse it. And Izukami actually does trust him with it and gives him the stone, and Yushiro leaves. And then I think Eclipses and Izukami go on their honeymoon. Woohoo, I guess. Um, so yeah, holy crap, 2 weeks video log was longer than 3 weeks. That makes absolutely no sense. Ugh. Oh my gosh, if you stuck around for this one, last time I said you deserved a medal or something. This time I'm just gonna say you have no life. I mean, this thing is nearly 40 minutes long. This thing's, right now, the timer says it's just a little over 38 and a half minutes. If you've watched all this crap, you are seriously dedicated to these guys' stories. I mean, I understand just watching your part, but like Gale watching his part, but if you actually watch this whole thing, oh my gosh,